there is another downside to that as well. The other downside is deficiency of the insulin. So you might, your pancreas, the beta cells in the pancreas, might produce so much insulin for so long that they cannot produce anymore. That deficiency means two things. First of all, you need a level of insulin in the body to manage your blood sugar that your body cannot produce anymore. So you need a lot of more insulin to force the body to manage the blood sugar. And your body naturally cannot do that. Even if you're healthy and nothing else is happening in the body cannot handle that. And that's when your doctor would tell you to go and get some extra insulin. Okay, we'll talk about that. The other thing is your pancreas would get damaged by working so hard for so long that it cannot produce even the natural levels that it could do if it wasn't hard. So you get deficiency in insulin. Okay, and that's bad because insulin is doing a lot of different things. Insulin is a very important hormone in the body. And if you don't have enough of it, you cannot regulate your blood sugar and then you cannot do all of those other 100 things. Okay. So that's about insulin. But if you look at the reasons that we get insulin resistant, uh, we're all talking about high carb and blood sugar and stuff like that. And I hope that you realize that sugar is dangerous to the body. But I hope that you have this question as well, that if the sugar is so dangerous to the body, and at the same time you're telling me that the sugar is the main source of fuel for some cells and for brain, for example, and if you don't have it, your brain command you to go and eat more and stuff like that. But what's the solution then? How we can manage that? So the good news is our body has different sources of fuel. The alternate fuel to the sugar, the first one is fat. Okay, so we have our body cells can use different things to produce energy, like lactate and fat and sugar and stuff like that. But the main ones are sugar and fat. Let's talk about that alternate fuel. So every cell in the body, other than just a couple of types, red blood cell and some cells in the kidney and some parts in the brain, very, very limited number of the cells. Every other cell knows how to use and metabolize fat as fuel. Okay. So if you give a body cell, a normal body cell, some fat and some glucose, which one it uses? It uses the fat. It prefers to um, metabolize fat over sugar if you don't give it a command to use some of those. Okay, one of those. What do I mean by that? I'll explain in a minute. So let's talk about how the cells can use fat. So when you store extra sugar and extra energy in the body as fat in your around the body and everywhere in the adipose tissue, that's the fat under your skin, subcutaneous fat under your skin, and, so you store that extra energy as fat, and when you don't want it, that storage, and you need some energy, those fat cells just release some fat and let it go in the bloodstream, and it travels to the liver, and your liver converts them to some molecule called ketones, ketone bodies, beta hydroxybutyrate. So that BHB, that ketone, is a molecule that every cell in the body knows how to use that. So let me quickly go through that process again. So your fat cells, when they release some fat, they send them to the liver converts them to ketones, and then the ketones go around the body and get used as fuel, as an alternate fuel to the sugar that you have in your bloodstream. Okay? So, this state that your body starts producing ketones because you don't have ketones all the time. When you have high blood sugar and when you have high insulin in response to that high blood sugar, your body doesn't produce any ketones. That state of producing ketones is called ketosis. Okay, so when you're in ketosis, your body is producing a lot of ketones, a lot of alternative fuel, and it's a very good state to be. Why? Because the body cells, they don't require any command to absorb and to stock in the ketones. They don't need insulin. Okay, so without any command, without any force to tell them to do something, they can just suck in the ketones and start producing energy. So imagine that state that we had in the brain, the insulin resistance in the brain that would cause seizure or Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that. Imagine that you're in ketosis, your brain cells are not listening to the insulin command to use the blood sugar, and they're dying, they're starving, and then you provide them with some ketones. What happens? They start using the ketone because the body cells, the brain cells, don't require insulin to use ketones. So they can just start producing some energy and start living again, running again. That's a very good state to be. So how can you do that? By lowering the blood sugar. Every time that the blood sugar comes down, the insulin in the bloodstream comes down, the body, the fat cells get this message that I can release some fat, and then the fat goes around the body, goes to the liver, and you get into a state of ketosis. Okay? So that's the role of insulin in prohibiting the body from going to ketosis or letting the body go to its natural state. So, arguably, ketosis is the natural state of the body. So, all of us should be in ketosis most of the time, other than the times that we eat something that our body responds with some insulin because we have eaten something and we need to use that material to do something, to build some tissues, some muscles, some fat, some glycogen, some things like that. Other than those times, every other time, we should be in ketosis. Okay? So we should change our diet and lifestyle in a way to stay in ketosis. Back to the diabetes.